Okay, guys, so we are starting this section. I kind of put it together because it's a combination of section 5.1 and 5.2, but it's using algebra. So this is going to be a very long lesson. All right, it's going to be quite a bit of algebra on the first hand, but vocab, knowing your vocab. So if you don't know your vocab on perpendicular bisectors, angle bisectors, medians, and altitudes, this is going to be extremely difficult for you to remember how to do this. All right, so a lot of this stuff is based off of do you know your vocab, okay? So we've done sections like this before where I've asked you guys to label your steps so that you can go back and look to see what you did, and I think that that's going to be helpful in this assignment as well, okay? So there's going to be multiple sections to this. It's going to be very long and it's going to take a lot of practice. So make sure you guys are spacing yourselves on this lesson because I'm going to anticipate it taking at least 1 or 2 days in order for you guys to grasp it. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is just to kind of go through all the algebraic equations and formulas we might need, all right, in order to do these questions. And then we're just going to kind of take off, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the equations written in slope-intercept form of these 3 different special segments. So of medians, of altitudes, and of perpendicular bisectors. Okay, so to start, what we're trying to do is we're trying to write them, and I'm writing them in just this blank space right here. Okay, we're trying to write them in slope-intercept form. All right, and if we remember, slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. All right, now remember, you guys might not do it the same way as I do. All right. I always use point slope form first. Okay. And so if you guys are getting the same answers, by all means, you can do it whatever way you want, but I'm going to be teaching it through point slope. Okay. So talking about point slope, all right, my point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay. We are going to be using the midpoint formula. All right. We're going to do x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. We're going to be using the slope formula, all right, which is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Okay. And we're going to be talking about perpendicular slopes. All right. And if you guys remember, perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay. So all of this is going to come into play, all right, when we're doing these questions. Okay. So like I said before, all right, the key to this is knowing your vocab. All right. And so if we read the directions, and there's a typo in here, all right, but it says using the figure below, write the equation of the, it's supposed to be altitude and the median from vertex C. But what I want you guys to focus on is this, all right, from vertex C. It's telling you what vertex it has to come from, all right, which is significant because your answers would be different if you're coming from point B or point A or point C. So you have to know what vertex you're coming from, okay? So we're going to start with finding the median, and let's just do a quick recap, all right, of what a median is. All right, so what a median is it's the segment connecting the vertex, all right, and the midpoint of the opposite side. So a lot of the times, all right, what I ask you guys to do, especially if we were in class together, is I would ask you to kind of just sketch what that midpoint would look like, all right, or sketch what that median would look like. And to do that first, what you guys would have to do is you'd have to eyeball the midpoint of AB, and that's actually going to be our starting point, all right? That first eyeballing the midpoint is going to be our starting point, but we're going to do that using the vertices of A and B, all right? So our first step is we're going to find the midpoint of AB, and we're finding it of the opposite side of the vertex we're trying to come from, and this is the case where it's AB, okay? So my point A is 0, 0. My point B is 12, 6. Okay? And I'm going to find the midpoint of those 2 points. All right, so once again, using this formula that we've already written down, all right, we're going to find the midpoint. So I'm going to add 0 plus 12 and then divide that by 2, comma 0 plus 6, and divide that by 2, which means that my midpoint is going to be 6 comma 3. Okay? So that right there is 6 comma 3. All right, and now what I would do is I would sketch the segment. I should have done this in a different color so you guys can see, but I would sketch the segment connecting, all right, point C and this midpoint right here. So what I'm trying to write is the equation of this line right here. So to do that, what I need to do is I need to find my slope. All right, so my second step now is I need to write my equation using point C and my midpoint that I found in step 1. Okay, so I'm going to write my equation using 6 comma 3 and my point of 18 comma 0. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do that. So the first thing I need to do is find my slope. So I'm going to do 0 minus 3 all over 18 minus 6. Okay, which means I'm going to have negative 3 over 12, which means my slope is negative 1/4. Okay. All right, guys. So from here, all right, we are going to use my slope. And then I'm going to pick any of those 2 points, 6 comma 3 or 18 comma 0, and I'm going to plug it into point slope form. All right. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm going to choose 18 comma 0. All right. And so I'm going to have y minus 0 is equal to my slope of negative 1/4 times my point of x minus 18. Okay. Now, you can multiply by 4 if you want, all right, but I'm going to just distribute it through and deal with the fractions. So y minus 0 is just y equals, and then I'm distributing the 1/4 through, so I'm going to get negative 1/4 x. And then if I would multiply negative 1/4 times negative 18, all right, I would get positive 18 over 4, all right, which means I'm going to get reduced of 9/2. And that's my final answer. Okay? All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause there, all right, for time purposes, and then we're going to talk about the altitude and the perpendicular bisector, and we're going to just kind of cruise through the rest of the notes.